From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
From the barn
we tried to use as much automation in this barn as we can.
to the fields,
So what we have here is the world's first fully automated soil laboratory.
to the tractor,
It couldn't be a more interesting and exciting time to be in the equipment industry.
to information at your fingertips.
But I think we have a lot of opportunities to push from insights into actions.
This morning, we dive into the new world of smart farming and the important role farmers and ranchers can play in making it even smarter. Right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the name on the cap matches the power of one's purpose. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The idea of smart farming includes the innovations in technology shaping the future of the agricultural industry. A decade ago, when talking about the future of farming, some thought we'd see smaller, driverless tractors on most farms or tiny robots planting and spraying our crops. While some of those forecasts have come true, kind of, today technology is evolving to help farmers be smarter. And today we show you how autonomy in agriculture is happening, but not in the way many expected. Tyne Morgan reports.
Autonomy in agriculture is starting to roll on all cylinders across the U.S. A transformation in ag equipment is unfolding right before our eyes.
It couldn't be a more interesting and exciting time to be in the equipment industry because of all the new technology that has been released really within the last 6 months.
Kurt Blades of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, or AEM, says in the West, the focus is answering a major need, the shortage of labor.
Harvesting a strawberry. A strawberry is a soft fruit that needs careful consideration. We've never been able to mechanically harvest a strawberry in an efficient way because we haven't had the technology, the artificial intelligence, the sensors to be able to detect whether it's the right shade of green, the right shade of red, and then also handle it with kid gloves.
In the Midwest, the autonomy trends look a bit different. Instead of smaller, driverless equipment, major equipment manufacturers made a splash at recent shows with the largest horsepower combine and tractors yet, all with autonomous capabilities.
We've been very clear that by 2030, we want to have a full production system for corn and soybeans that is fully autonomous. But you'll see us bringing out over the successive years more autonomy solutions in each of the steps across the production system.
Aaron Wetzel is the VP of Production Systems for the Production and Precision Ag business at John Deere. And in his 35 years with the company, he says he's amazed with the amount of change he's seen in just the past 5.
And that's fueled by things like artificial intelligence, its machine learning capabilities.
It's clear ag technology is driving changes in equipment today.
In fact, I don't think we can quite comprehend how different the ag space is going to look 10, 20, 30 years from now than what it looks today.
Kubota is another company embracing the changing world of ag equipment.
We need technology to harvest the data so we can make better decisions. If we can make better decisions, then the sustainability, doing more for less, we can start doing that, and or use technology to make the best operator your everyday operator. And I think that's where we're investing in.
Todd Stuckey is president of Kubota Tractor Corporation, but also the chairman of AEM, which allows him to explore autonomy on a much broader scale.
One thing that we need to do as an industry is make sure the regulation follows the technology. So we don't want to have an autonomous tractor that we have to have a person in it.
Technology as a tool is what will allow farmers to make more precise, real-time decisions, uncovering a future of smart farming like nothing we've ever seen.
All right, thanks, Tyne. And we're just getting started talking everything smart farming. Coming up, we've taken an in-depth look at data. From gathering it to interpreting it, a look at the latest gadgets and the role outer space can play. And later, the robots of the future are here now at dairy farms across the country. We head to a robotic milking operation as our dive into smart farming continues. As we've seen in our personal lives, artificial intelligence and data analytics tools are popping up everywhere, from social media to search engines, even brand new platforms. Now, that technology is finding its way into farming. Whether it's planting, spraying, sampling, or harvesting, data is everywhere on the farm.
Historically, what we've done is we've looked backwards at what happened, but that doesn't tell you what's going to happen.
Today, data isn't just being collected. It's being mined, processed, and integrated with a worldwide web of information.
We're getting to the point where growers are starting to expect us to help them take data and turn it into insights. But more than that, they want insights that are actionable. They want to, have an output for the data they've been collecting for years or decades.
That includes insights discovered with the help of artificial intelligence.
I think we have a lot of opportunities to push from insights into actions, where AI and, some of those models, the predictive models that we can develop, can start to bring opportunities for the grower and their trusted advisor to maybe say, you should look at this product or practice on this specific field.
Bayer and Climate Field View isn't alone in its pursuit of digital farming solutions. NASA is also working to turn satellite data into actionable decisions for producers.
The science NASA has funded has gone into so many different agricultural applications. Google Maps, a lot of this stuff had its foundation off of NASA data initially. Cropland Data Layer, developed in a partnership between USDA and NASA. Foreign Ag Statistics, WASI reports, there's a huge component of satellite data that feeds into it that is powered by NASA observations.
Improving satellite resolution and increasing computer or computational power is now helping scientists at the space agency look at other solutions for agriculture.
Now we're looking at precision nitrogen recommendations or pest and disease mitigation, these different kind of capabilities.
We're getting satellite imagery on a regular basis throughout the season, throughout the year. So that way we can track what's happening in the biomass development of that field and be able to track how that develops over time.
BASF is also using these layers of data, including its historical information, in a new platform called Zarvio.
It's going to turn that information into a recommendation or a decision without having to go through 5 years of trial work on farm.
Now, that platform will be available for agronomists and retailers to support recommendations for farmers.
The more data points we can get, the better chance we have of making the correct choice, especially when variety or hybrid is involved.
When you start thinking white mold, one of the models that come up when we were going through the thing was, it told us to spray 2 weeks ahead of time. By the time you've seen it, you needed to spray 2 weeks ahead of time, not the window on the calendar anymore.
Solutions for the future, from the future, as new data tools arrive at the farm gate. Still ahead, we continue our in-depth look at smart farming, including a new way to make carbon capture pay on your farm. The race to cash in on carbon isn't new, and every day it seems another carbon market promises new opportunities for farmers. As we continue our focus on smart farming, we explore a new way carbon could pay, and it all starts with the Inflation Reduction Act and something called 45Z. Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan reports.
From his 7,000 acres of no-till crops to switching from synthetic fertilizer to now using regenerative or wastewater as plant food, Kelly Garrett is extremely carbon conscious.
I believe in being collaborative with Mother Nature, not in competition. And this is a collaborative effort.
There's no doubt Kelly is a forward thinker. He says he was the first farm in the U.S. to sell carbon credits, and now he thinks there's a new opportunity for farmers to possibly cash in.
I believe in 5 years, almost every product that we buy, especially food-wise, will have a CI score affixed to it.
CI score stands for Carbon Intensity Score. He says now with the 45Z tax credit that will go into effect January 1st of next year, your CI score will soon be worth even more, especially if your corn goes to an ethanol plant.
It states that for every point an ethanol plant can get below 50 on their CI score, there's a 2 cent per gallon tax credit. The ethanol plants don't have a lot of hope of getting below 50, very far at least, without traceability of our product, of our corn.
Kelly says by his calculation, for every point below the current average score of 29.1 in ag, it's worth 2 cents a gallon or 5.5 cents per bushel of corn.
My score is a -6 because of the no-till, the cover crops, the regenerative things I do. So my score is 35 points below the average. If you take 35 times 5.5, that's $1.92.5 per bushel.
Seeing how crucial farmers' CI score will be to ethanol plants in the years ahead, Kelly saw a new opportunity for more than just himself. So he teamed up with Peter Meyer, Jared Creed, and Mike Busing to create Regenerative Roots Solutions to educate all farmers.
The four of us got together here in the last couple months and really trying to hone in on what the opportunities are for our network combined. Specifically geared towards these CPG programs and 45Z tax credit coming down the pipeline.
Peter Meyer says a farmer's CI score is based on the GREET model, and an essential update to the model is expected soon from EPA.
The GREET model here was just all for ethanol for cars, and now we're talking about a whole different energy source in sustainable aviation fuel.
And now with 45Z, the new tax credits for ethanol plants will also hinge on CI scores from farmers.
What I'm advocating for is that this very much is a partnership with an ethanol plant. The tax credit is available to the ethanol plants, not to farmers, but the ethanol plant, again, doesn't have a lot of hope of gaining much of this tax credit without traceability to us.
The ethanol business cannot survive without the farmer. And this has to be, as Kelly Garrett said earlier, this has to be a 50-50 partnership.
The team's goal is to provide transparency and information to growers. But today, the biggest challenge is just how much misinformation is out there.
Well, there's an incredible amount of skepticism with farmers, starting with the carbon market as a whole, things like that, government intervention. I think farmers are eternally skeptical. And, a lot of times we've been sold a bill of goods.
Mike Busing has already taken a deep dive into the carbon markets. Through his company, Windy Ridge Ag, they handle the data collection for growers on current carbon programs available today.
Over the last 4 years, we've brought a little over $10 million back to our grower base. So pretty incredible, and that's what we hope to do with Regenerative Roots.
While those are one-year contracts, Busing says 45Z has the potential to be a longer-term, steady revenue stream for farmers.
Data is going to be the key piece of that. We would all love to just have our growers say, walk in with a piece of paper, right, that says my CI score's 10, right? Pay me for my grain. However, there will be a large data piece of this. It's going to have to go through third-party verification.
A new opportunity for farmers to cash in. The team at Regenerative Roots doesn't see this as a fad.
What we're advocating is for the farmer to be educated about what practices he or she can employ in other words to reduce their carbon intensity score, to make it a little bit more palatable for the GREET model, and thus end up with more money in their pockets at the end of the day.
And the best part for Garrett is he doesn't have to change any production practice on his farm or adopt something new to qualify.
Well, like most things in life, this is luck for me. These are things I was already doing.
All right, thanks, Ty. Now, smart farming doesn't just involve what's going on above the ground. We head below ground to focus on solutions when it comes to soil. The idea of smart farming so often focuses on sensors, robotics, and technology. But can farmers get smarter about their soil? Well, here's a look at a host of new ideas targeting below ground innovation. Soil. It's the building block of agriculture. Managing this vital resource can be the key to profitability. At this year's Commodity Classic, it was clear getting smarter about soil is a target for innovation.
So what we have here is the world's first fully automated soil laboratory.
Precision Planting's new Radical Agronomics Soil Lab aims to be a new standard.
As you look at the history of soil fertility management, not much has changed in the last 60 years, frankly.
And yet fertility is one of a farm's biggest costs.
In our area in central Illinois, it's 22% of the crop budget is going to your fertility program.
This new hands-free and computer-controlled system can process a sample every 6 minutes with the goal of eliminating variability and human error.
If you go to Lab A today and you go to Lab B with the exact same soil, what you can find is in some cases a 50% difference from Lab A to Lab B. Now, in dollars and cents terms, that can be a $50 an acre difference depending on which lab you go to.
From processing the sample to what that sample of soil can tell you, another company called Pattern Ag says it can find the most damaging pests and pathogens in the field.
What we're doing is we're using DNA sequencing technology that wasn't available at scale before because it just wasn't affordable. And so we're using that now to look at the biology and then turn those around into really simple agronomic recommendations.
Whether it's looking at the prevalence of rootworm, nematodes, or foliar pathogens, each sample is analyzed, the biology measured, and the risks reported.
Information in and of itself is interesting, but not accurate. If you turn it into something that's a simple agronomic recommendation, that's where they live.
Beyond the biology, new sensors like this one from Earth Optics doesn't probe, it scans.
We'll be able to tell you exactly what's going on in the soil, what your compaction rates are, which leads to tillage, your nutritional content, so we can feed variable nutrient fertilization, and most importantly, in the climate area, we can tell you the content of carbon in your soil.
Soil carbon continues to be a top issue as companies roll out soil solutions aimed at sequestering even more carbon, including using biologicals like fungi.
A recent co-benefit of mycorrhiza that we are very focused on now is the additional carbon that is sequestered as a result of the presence of mycorrhiza. It is well researched, the fact that mycorrhiza is the main pathway for carbon into the soil.
And those fungi can sequester and remove additional carbon dioxide out of the air and store it in the soils as the farmer is growing the crop.
As the industry leans into the idea of soil as a smarter farming system for the future. Now, you can't talk about technology without focusing on the dairy industry. We'll see how robotic milking operations are changing the industry next. Dairying is a 365-day-a-year job, and so dairy producers are always looking for ways to streamline tasks on their farm. And as AgDay's Michelle Rook found, smart farming is also helping take livestock operations to new productivity heights.
Drumgoon Dairy added robots in 2021 as part of their third farm addition in South Dakota. Drumgoon East is home to 20 robots milking about 1,470 cows. Several factors pushed the Elliots to make the investment.
Labor is becoming harder to come by, more expensive, and the willingness for people to stand and do some of the jobs that traditional in dairy farms probably less and less.
Plus, when you remove the human element, cows can be milked more uniformly any time of day.
So for me, the robot's about consistency. The robot does its job very well, very thorough, very consistent. It does the same job at the end of a 12-hour shift as it does at the start of a 12-hour shift.
For the cows, a big advantage of a robotic system is milking is voluntary.
So it's the cow's choice when she wants to go and get milked. We're not telling her, it's her choice when she wants to go.
And when cows get milked in a quiet, stress-free environment 3 to 4 times a day at peak lactation, while eating an individually designed ration, production also increases.
Here, every cow is identified as an individual, and to the degree they want to, they can feed them a certain amount of pellets. They can determine the number of times she can be milked in a day.
The cows get milked very efficiently. Our cows are less than 6 minutes in the box, and if their milk given, so they don't spend more. That's probably 18-20 minutes of their day. The rest of their day they can eat, use the brushes, lay in their sand beds, and have comfort. So we will have more milk, and I think our cows will last longer.
At every milking, the robots also collect health and production data.
I mean, when the cow comes in and is milked, it's identified, and each one of the quarters, the milk that's harvested is weighed and recorded.
At Drumgoon, they've also added automation in areas outside the milking parlor.
Robots pushing up the feed, automatic scraper scraping the manure. We try to use as much automation in this barn as we can.
In Wisconsin, Pagels Ponderosa Dairy and Hilltop Farm are also using smart farming technology, including for heat detection. A system built by Parlor Boss and SenseHub work together in the rotary to identify cows coming into heat while they're milking.
So if you look at the TV screen above, for example, this might show us if a cow is due for vaccination today, or if a cow is due to be inseminated today because she's at heat. That information will be there.
That's taken headlock time from 5 to 6 hours a day down to just 4 to 5 hours per week. Out in the barn, temperature control systems also help optimize temperature, keep cows cool, and fly free. Smart farming technology that's all in the name of cow comfort, efficiency, and productivity. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle, and that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day out in farm country.